be very honest with yourself. Are you wavering between states? So you know what it is that you want or who it is that you want to be, and you dwell on the wish fulfilled of that for some time, of having it, of now being it. But then you also go back, you dwell on lack, you dwell on the opposite, and you maybe even sometimes leave the back door open, being like, okay, if that doesn't work, well, then maybe I can at least be on this level and have this. So you're not going all in, right? So with this video, I want to help you to really learn how you can only accept your ideal and nothing less. So with that, let's just dive right in. And first of all, I want to share with you some quotes, my explanation, and then a story of a person that attended one of Neville's lectures and what Neville said to this person when this person said, you know, I don't know what to do. I fall out of my end state, and we will hear what Neville had to say about this. So we never accept as true and as final anything unless it conforms to the ideal we desire to embody within our world. And that's the statement, right? That's the premise. That's already straight to the point right? We never accept as true and as final anything unless it conforms to the ideal we desire to embody within our world. So you determine if you accept something as final. If you're right now happy with your, this area of your life, this area of your life, and this area of your life, and within those areas, all is good, well, then you accept that as right now as final. But you determine when you accept something as final. Never is actually something final or absolute, right? If you're right now not happy with your financial situation, your relationship situation, then don't accept it as final unless it is not like conforming to your ideal. So this is what Neville's mentor said, and also Neville said this in his lectures, is that I did it, I'm doing it, and I will continue to do it until that which I've done is perfectly externalized within my world. That is boldness, right? So what is meant by that is not meant any external action. No, I did it. What does Neville meaning here? Meaning the shift into the desired state. So I did it. I assumed that I now have what I want to have, that I now am who I want to be. So I imagined myself into that. I did it. I'm doing it. So I'm right now dwelling on it. I'm doing it, and I will continue to do it until that inner movement, that inner shift is expressed in my world. And as long as it's not expressed, well, I don't accept it. I don't say, okay, it hasn't worked yet after 1 week, after 1 month. Well, that means that probably it's not for me. Probably I have to live with something less. And, other people also have not achieved this goal, so it's okay if I also settle on this level. No. With this video, I want to help you to only accept your ideal and nothing less, to have higher standards for yourself and to go for what you actually want, to take on the desire as it comes, to not limit yourself and compromise the desire and be like, okay, you have the desire to make 10K a month, but you're like, okay, maybe 4K also enough, right? That was just a very specific example. It can be for anything. So we must live boldly, right? Do you want to be a lion or a sheep in this game of life? If you're a sheep, then you take the circumstances as they are, you just live in this world as it is, but you're not consciously creating and bringing into the manifested world your desired circumstances. So you just live after what already is made, and you only accept things that already are there. But I want to help you to, now only accept things as final when they are as you want them to be. So we must go through life as though we possessed what we want to possess. I close the door. Which door? What's meant by closing the door? The door of my senses, right? I simply shut out completely all that my senses reveal. I suspend the limited reason, so your rational mind, of the natural man, right? And walk in the bold assertion that I am what my senses deny. No, meaning there is no evidence first, right? Your senses will not give you evidence that you are now this, that you now have this. But it starts from within. It starts from you to dwell on this unseen fact, right? This unseen reality, and by remaining your faith and your loyalty to that, and by dwelling in that state that's right now unseen to the world, but you can subjectively feel into it and awaken it in you, it will also be expressed and mirrored back to you. So this is a reminder and my explanation again, before we go into another very important quote on, one of Neville's students. So you are not your state. You are not your circumstances. You are the inhabitant of a state, which is therefore expressed in your world. So once you start to enter a new state, so you enter a new room, as a metaphor, you see the contents of that room, and you no longer see the contents of the old room, right? So you're constantly moving through states, and you have states that are habitual to you, right? When I tell you money, relationship, love, specific person, friendships, lifestyle, money, business success, whatever it is, you have a certain state towards that. Either you are in a state of having some things are natural, or you're desiring certain things out of your current state. But you are not the state, right? Would you be the state, you would forever be bound to, one trajectory, like you couldn't make changes. But because you can assume new things, you can start to identify with new things in your inner world, you can also therefore see new circumstances, because they are a result of your internal state. So if right now you see circumstances that you don't like, well, then you don't have to accept them as final. You don't have to accept them as absolute, right? If you accept them, then they will be absolute from your point of view, but on the bigger picture, they're not absolute, right? There are people that experience the opposite. There are people that experience something different. So it's not an absolute state, only from your subjective point of view. And if it's not to your liking, if it is not your ideal, then I invite you from now on after this video to no longer accept that, right? And to go all into a desired state and don't accept anything less until that desired state is perfectly expressed. So no matter if you are in a state of poverty or wealth, loneliness or being partnered, being in the relationship you want to be in, sickness or health, you are still the same. You as the occupant power, you as the operant power, you as the one determining in which states you want to make alive in you, right? You only dwell in a different state. So the person that's rich and the person that's poor, behind them, behind this mask that they're playing in the game of life that you see outside, there's the same beingness, the same operant power that you are. So you can also start to put on a new mask, the mask of your ideal. So you're never actually stuck in a state. Only when you lost yourself in the state, forgetting that you are not tied to it. And this is something that is happening to a lot of people, right? They just, when you encounter people, listen to them, listen closely. And some people really know they're so lost in their state, and also in their circumstances. And they think, okay, this is now my life. This is who I am. These are my circumstances, and they have, in a sense, accepted it based on the facts without. But that is exactly what Neville is telling us we should not do, because we should live from within and let the world be the echoing, reverberant mirror. Let it be what it is right now, and if it's not your ideal, then simply don't accept it, right? Simply don't look into it and say, okay, yep, that I have to now conform to it and be like, that's now it for me. No, we assume internally our ideal, and we continue, like this quote that I shared with you, right? We continue to dwell on that until that ideal is perfectly expressed, and we don't settle for anything less than the ideal. And that has a lot to do with going all in, right? Not being lukewarm and just flirting with your desired state, with your desired reality, and looking in it and knowing that it is possible for you, but then the rest of the time, reacting the opposite, dwelling on lack, keep desiring it and not dwelling on the wish fulfilled of being it. Well, then therefore, you will not enter that state and make it alive in your world. And this is one of the attendees of a Neville lecture, a person, and he shared this. So when I was in my early 20s, I found myself in a situation that was very unpleasant to me, and I wanted to get out of it. Meaning, there's a person, maybe this relates to you, and you find yourself right now in any life circumstance that is unpleasant, that you don't want. You have a desire to get your specific, desired life circumstance. After attending a lecture by Neville, I waited to speak to him afterwards. I briefly told him of my unhappy circumstances and was hoping he would offer some advice as to how to change them. Right? That's what we all want. We want some encouragement. We want some tips, some steps, like do this, do that. Speaking to the gurus, like you first need to do this and then you need to do this. And we listen to some authorities that tell us what we need to do, while we are forgetting that all states, all end states are already within us. And so we think that we need someone else's permission or advice to get something. He smiled at me. So again, this person told Neville that he has a goal and that the circumstances right now are unpleasant, and he wanted some advice from Neville on what he should do to reach his goal, to change his circumstance. And this is what Neville said, right? Don't accept it. Not do this and then do this and then maybe do this and maybe if you're lucky this happens and you can do this. No, don't accept it. Don't accept it as final, right? At that time in my life, I didn't fully grasp what Neville had been teaching. I thought he had misunderstood my question and tried to clarify my problem by stating that I had already made the choice to be in the situation I now found so unpleasant. Neville again smiled and said, don't accept it. Right? Don't accept it. I left his presence quite frustrated, thinking he had not understood my problem. I continued to read 2 books I had by Neville. I gradually understood that regardless of the circumstances which surrounded me, I did not need to accept them as final. Right? I began to imagine what I wanted rather than focus on my negative surroundings. That is a key. Please, let's just put a pin in here right now and talk about that, because that is what we do. Right? And I made an entire video on this, by the way, which is called Avoid This Vicious Life Cycle. I will link this one above right now, because basically what we do, and this is like an addiction even, we always want to take our cue from what currently is present in our life. So we look at the circumstances into our life areas, we see this is not there, this is as it is right now, this is unpleasant, and then we form an attitude, a state out of that, like, I'm like this, I don't have this, my life is like this. And then this is our inner state, and then that gets reflected even more. So we just stay in the loop of getting the same circumstances. So watch this video that I linked to learn how to break that. But you like this person did, right? He stopped to focus on the negative surroundings. You will always have circumstances, and I'm not even saying to ignore them, to go in a battle with them, right? To fight them, to push them away. No, it's more so in acknowledging without accepting them as final. So you see your circumstances as they are right now, but at the same time, you know deep down that, okay, as long as this is not my final end, as long as this is not final for me, well, I don't have to accept it as final. And therefore, you stop focusing on what's going on. You focus more on being who you want to be, on having what it is that you want to have within, because from within your reactions to life come, from within your thoughts and actions, and also the manifestations externally are coming. An event took place 2 weeks after I began my imaginal acts that was instrumental in bringing about my heart's desire 5 months later, that of a brand new home. Meanwhile, the situation had been so depressing to me improved, and I spent the next 5 months planning what I would do in my new home. So the person learned from Neville to not accept what right now is, that he was maybe not living in his ideal living situation. So he stopped accepting that, and he only started to accept his new desired state. And he only, boldly started to create his life from within. And he didn't, accept life on the basis of the world without. And this is the quote from the beginning, right? Never accept as true and as final anything unless it conforms to the ideal we desire to embody within our world. And that means, also translated, if that sounds too non-graspable for you, that means to have new standards, like raise your inner standards, so to speak, where now only nothing below that is acceptable for you. You only accept this, right? This is very powerful, very helpful, and you will accelerate, you will empower yourself to, quote unquote, generate the circumstances that you want. So let me know in the comments down below if that was helpful, if that was understandable, if you already live after this, kind of like going all in mentality, or be honest with yourself. Have you been lukewarm? Have you sometimes, gotten aware of what you want, and maybe you started to dwell on that a little bit, on, oh yeah, it would be pretty nice to have this and to be like this, but then you still kept on worrying, doubting, desiring it, hoping for it, and seeking it, and having not made it natural for yourself. You can also let me know this in the comments, but from now on, I invite you to train yourself, and it might take a while, to in a playful way, only accept your ideal and nothing less. What would it be like if your ideal is granted? What would it be like if there would be only your ideal? There would be no other possibility, right? Fully go all in your desired state. Burn all bridges, right? Burn all other possibilities, and only have there your ideal state, your ideal identity, your ideal self-concept, your ideal circumstances. What would it be like if you have that and nothing else, right? So I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that you got value out of it. Please let me know. Let me know any feedback. If you need any further help, then always feel free to check out the free resources in the video description, also in the pinned comments, my free masterclass, and also my program in case you feel like you want to work with me, you want accountability, you want a system, you want one-on-one support, you want weekly calls, you want a community that empowers you, that is helpful, that in which all goals that you can basically have on your mind right now while you are in Neville's teaching. So if it's health, money, business, relationships, anything that you have on your mind right now that you can imagine, possibly someone in my community already manifested that, or I did, or someone that we know did. So if you want a structure, a system, help, accountability, and really like high level, support, not just a PDF with some affirmations, but I mean actually like a 12-month full deep dive into Neville's teachings and applying them, mastering them, moving closer to your goals, then just apply for a call to find out if you're a good fit. But if not, and you want to keep learning for free, I mean, that's also fine. This is just for you if you want to take it to the next level, if you resonate with me and my teachings on my channel. So yeah, that's it from my side. And I really, really, really hope that this helps you, right? I really hope that you understand the power behind this, because if you're lukewarm, you get nothing really, or you stay unhappy because you manifest, a little bit, but then still your main desire keeps staying the main desire. So let's go all in. Let's be bold. Let's just, practice, apply, test the principle, the law of assumption, and also only start to accept our ideals so that, you start to raise your inner standards. All right? So that's it from my side. Speak to you in the next one. Bye, guys.